Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, be the first one getting all the insight. Now, today's video, I would like to go a little bit of digest of a news article that we received. Well, it's published yesterday. I just wanted to go through one of the top expert on the Australian visa system. Talks about the upcoming month of changes and what may concern the nation of Australia, and also that may concern you. And I'll by the end of this video, I'll also put a little bit on my my thoughts in there as well. Right, let's jump in there and have a look. This is from Independent Australia, the well-known Abu Rizvi, who is the I think secretary position of the Department of Immigration previously. So he's now focused on putting on some recommendations and advices on the immigration system. So is it today? I thought it was yesterday. So it's 8 a.m. It's actually today. Wow. Very, very new. But I think the news actually published from the Google search was last night. Anyhow, okay. The title reads, "Immigration policy about to undergo massive shakeup." Oh, of course. Well, due to the recent budget and also the migration review report, definitely the report showing an overhaul of the system. So it's massive shakeup for sure, and we have gone through a lot of them in different segments and video explaining from employment sponsor visa the changes, student visa the changes, perhaps the big program and the global talent, and vice versa. So let's have a read of what the expert is saying and what you should be expected in the coming month. So the upcoming month will be fraught. Well, that is not a good word in describing it, but it looks like a little bit of difficulty there. But of course, it's going to be major changes. There's definitely going to be difficulty there. So the policies and administration for the government to try to fix the mess inherited from the coalition. Well, what's the coalition? Which is going to be the former government. So the former government had caused almost about 2 million backlogs or something like that. But anyhow, let's see what's going to happen in the upcoming month. So while the current debate is focused on the net migration, well, again, I've done a video on that one. I think it's more political chat and mainstream media trying to deviate the mainstream talks and things. But anyway, let's forget about the Treasurer's forecast on the 315,000 blah blah blah. They will be fallen sharply whatever the market labor market has weakened. So the topic of all this article is talking about the labor market. So why does it matter? Because the labor market was quite strong, where the Australia had experienced the least the unemployment rate in the histories just over pandemic. But as we are moving onwards in the post-pandemic era, we see all the inflation rises and also the interest rate rises. Obviously, that will result with a weakened labor market. That means a consumer people is gonna spend less. If it's gonna be spent less, the business activity will drop, and that will cause the unemployment to rise, as we have seen it in the recent news already. So a weakened labor market will cause what? The temporary entrant of the student, work holiday maker, and people coming to Australia with a working visa. Perhaps they will, I can't say jobless, but according to this informational media here is talking about the less people is gonna earn, and what that gonna strikes on people is obviously, you know, about the housing and rental rate has rise as well. So that, let me just close that ads there. So that will cause issues. What issues? Obviously living costs. So as an international student coming to Australia, what would that happen? I mean, they probably will struggle with finding part-time jobs and making enough for living. So meaning that the future international student, you gotta be ready financially. Otherwise, you come to Australia, there is possibly gonna be some issue there as well. So let's flick back to the news. Is talk about the 100,000 plus asylum seeker that's accrued from the coalition government as well. If they given to the visa, facing the labor market issue, they will unlikely, they'll be vulnerable in a way, because they are not traditionally, they are not domestic Australians. So for them to find jobs, it's going to be harder, and people will then struggle. For example, if they were to confirm the TISMA is going to be above 70,000, what if the 491 visa holders, they are now people struggling to meet 53,900, can they actually meet 70,000? That's another question, whether or not they get twisted. But we gotta wait until the policy to be out in July as well. So I've already receiving information and comments that people are struggling in the regional area where they have holding 491 visa and worry about 3 years later whether or not they can actually transfer into a 191 permanent residency pathway. Okay, so there's going to be removal of the COVID era policy. So a lot of people, the student visa will no longer be able to work unlimited working hours. I think that's all right. You know, if you're a student, you should really go back to study full time, but you still get access to that 48 hours. So I think, personally, I think that is fine. And obviously, this talking about other stuff as an offshore student, application declines because the weakened labor market is not just happening in Australia, it's a global phenomenon. As you may notice, reading on the news, many international education providers will face significant reduction of the tuition fee revenue over the next 12 to 18 months compared to 2022 and 23. So that's gonna be another issue. Some providers switch to delivering 6 weeks course of aged care. I don't know how that will work, but it perhaps talking about the previous global financial crisis. Let's see what happens, as there has been a lot of news media talking about Australia facing a potential recessions. Should the recession be there, that will also impact the industry as well. Temporary graduate visas, they are increased. We have just done a video, my previous video, talking about how you can actually get a further additional years for the graduate visa. But again, if the labor market weakens, can these temporary graduates obtain the job required or transfer into the new point test system, or perhaps employment sponsor visa? So don't know about how that will go. So it also noted the minimum salary for this visa will rise from 70,000 from 1st July after being held down a coalition for a decade. So is it the right timing? Well, don't know, but let's see what happens. So special COVID visa stream, that's the 408 visa, that will end. So some of these people will require to leave or transfer into other visas, and make sure if you do a student visa, you got to meet the new genuine student tests. I think that will be generic, the same as the GTE previously. Working holiday makers, it's going to be less or more work. I'm not too sure at this stage, because agriculture, a business or industry is still there. But if we're talking about the labor market weaken, perhaps the hospitality industry will lower down a bit as well. Now, Parkinson review, which is basically the the whole migration review report. So by implementing all these ranges of recommendation, it's going to take time, well, for sure, but I'm pretty positive on this one, as the all the changes are quite straightforward. The losers here is the vet courses provided, and also the the students, international students, where they are the least favored. They don't get extra graduate work visa, and for the vet graduate to get employment sponsor with 70,000, I think that's gonna be very hard. But let's see, if because we know the employment sponsor visa will have 3 streams, so the lower end push it towards the regional. I think that will be the bar and the standard for the subclass 491 visa as well. So let's see how that progress through. So anyway, let's basically talk about the weakened labor market in the next 12 to 18 months. Indeed will be full of immigration policy administration as the government tries to manage a way out of the mess, and also facing the potential, what they have been talking about, the recession there. So what is my thought? I think policy change is good. How the government has look towards implementing all the recommendations. It's a good sign for the nation of Australia, as they looking towards a more highly professional, high human capital, and also aiming at targeting at the global talents. I think that is definitely the right way to go. But the hard part is the changes, because when the changes, there's always good side and bad side. The bad side will be the leftovers. I had said, the vet providers, and also the international student on the vet courses graduates will be perhaps a little bit disappointed, but they probably will push them towards regional. However, again, Australian government should really focus on the infrastructure build-ups in the city, around the city, and also go into the regional to actually ease the congestions, and also for the housing issue as well. Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.